we hopped on a call with people who make $1 million a month via social media, the first thing they told us is, your thumbnails suck.
I find it totally obnoxious.
So there's something internally for you that doesn't like people who like show off. Fine.
I'm
It's
shy.
funny. One of them, stop it. You are not shy. Go look at her page right now and look at the way, like how she's all dressed up like, ooh, look at me. We're just going to go ahead and rock and roll because I want to make sure that we're respectful of everybody's time. I know everybody here is a powerful person and you could be spending some of your non-refundable precious breaths doing anything else with anybody else. And me and Esteban are super appreciative that you're choosing to spend some time with us. For those of you who have not had proximity to me or don't know who I am, that is my bad because clearly I'm not doing a good enough job on social media. I've had the good fortune of selling real estate for the last 16 years. Took me my first calendar year selling real estate. I made $13,000. Not something people put you on a panel on. Definitely not something what people would like, want to hear about on a podcast, how exactly you did that. And definitely not something people would want you to coach them to teach them how to do. And then I got an accurate assessment of reality within 5 years doing 100 transactions. I've sold 100 homes a year for the last decade, 10 years in a row. I did 200 deals a year twice. So my intention in sharing that with you is not to brag or boast, but instead to get why would you want to listen to anything I have to say? Me and Esteban, he's a strategic partner of mine. Because up until about 2019, him and the team, by the way, it's not just Esteban, it's Lewis who's with us here. I'll bring you guys back to 2019. I am head down, laser beam focused on listing property in high volume. And you would get a hard stiff arm from me if you talked about social media to me. I literally thought social media was for my wife to post pictures of our kids. Because I think what's interesting is a lot of the times with social media, it's presented in two different ways. It's like two different camps. It's either or, where it's like either you have to prospect like an animal or you do social media. It's either or. The answer is both. It's not one or the other. So I'm head down. I'm doing a bunch of deals. Somebody asks me to be on their podcast. Okay, fine. So I do it. And I'm in a small little room with him. Nobody else is there with us, mind you. Not a soul. Just me and him and a camera. He live streams it. 5,000 people watch that within 48 hours. And within 7 days, 5 people from across the country, from California, literally to New Jersey, call me and want to give me money. You can make money doing this shit? I thought this was just like entertainment because I was on the consuming end. And who do you think makes all the money? Consumers or creators? Creators. See, I was just on the consuming end. I was just like entertainment and posting and things of that nature. And the most expensive thing you can own is a closed mind. You know that there's a lady who's a dermatologist who does videos of popping pimples and cysts, and you've all watched them. We just need to understand that this is a form of prospecting. It is a form of marketing. What's the word after tele? Marketing. That's one form of marketing. This is also a form of marketing. You're building a brand. I went from this is stupid and dumb, not doing it at all. I've got proximity to the people, the best coaches, trainers, teachers, mentors who make millions of dollars a month via social media. And over the last 2.5, 3 years, I've built a business that is close to $1 million a year, where the main acquisition channel is people reaching out to me on social media. Everybody on this call can do the exact same thing I've done, if not more, with the right mental maps and the right strategies and the right approaches. I'm going to share with you a few things. The first thing I'm going to share with you is what these platforms actually are and how to use them, because I thought I knew, I did not know. The second thing I'm going to share with you is the life cycle of attention, because that is the way this works, and we'll be able to see it in your own behavior and how to use the platforms to guide people down that life cycle of attention. And then the third thing we're going to be talking about is content kind of creation and a calendar, how to go about scheduling it. Because how many people see me in their feed all the time now? Can you not see me? I am in your face 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, it looks like that's all I'm doing with my time, does it not? What if I told you I only spend 8 to 10 hours a month doing it? See, we just get all overwhelmed, like it seems all overwhelming, but we're going to go through a content calendar, like how to actually create enough content in order to be able to look like you're omnipresent everywhere all the time. Where do most real estate agents spend time on social media? Which platform? Drop in the chat. Yep, I'm seeing a lot of IG. Lots of IG. My experience is agents spend the majority of the time on IG. Instagram is really just a communication tool. So short form content on Instagram or TikTok is really about day trading attention. It's really about who is this person? Who is Miss Zamora? Who is Aaron Novello? Who is this guy? And it's an invitation for someone to get to know you more? How many people's first interaction with me was on short form content? It's just an invitation. Like, who is this person? You see, people are trying to build brands on IG and TikTok. That's not where you build a brand. That's where you just get attention. What do you think the best platform for building a brand is? YouTube. Yep. Why is YouTube the best platform to build a brand? Their parent company is Google. That means you have built-in SEO, built-in search. The other thing that's so powerful about YouTube is that YouTube is the only platform that does both short form and long form content. And YouTube has evergreen content, which means it lives there forever. With the short form stuff, when you do a reel or some shit, people watch it for 24 hours and then they never look at it again. I didn't understand what the evolution is. So Esteban, if you could for a moment, because you work with agents all the time, talk about how agents get that confused and they don't understand how the platforms work and specifically how to use them.
Yeah, thank you for letting me talk about that. So yeah, guys, I mean, that's something that, like Aaron mentioned, like it happens often, right? A lot of agents are super confused about how to use all these platforms, and specifically even like what is like the strategy to do on each platform, right? Because at the end of the day, obviously now with short form content, like those short videos, we can just repurpose them and post them almost on every single platform, right? But what I've still seen a lot of agents kind of like fall into one of the biggest mistakes, like for example, even on Facebook or Instagram right now, and I want you guys to even raise your hands if you guys have fallen victim of this mistake, which is just like thinking that, hey, if I just post a bunch of pictures of listings of houses or whatever, or even videos of listings, then that's it. Like I'm good. I'm going to get all the reach and I'm going to grow and make sales or whatever. Like just raise your hand. Like, have you done that before on your Instagram or Facebook? Perfect. So that happens, right? So people are kind of confused about how to go about it, how to approach every single platform, right? And like Aaron said, I think one of the biggest things to do, for example, on YouTube, it's utilize the type of format content that allows you to use, right? Which is like long form video, short, medium form video, and short form, right? So I know he's going to talk more about how to go from long form or vice versa, from short form to medium form to long form in that type of cycle, right? With people. Yeah.
So this idea that like, I think again, people don't, particularly agents, they're not clear on the platforms and how to go about using them and what it's about like the life cycle of attention. And that's the second thing I wanted to talk to them about. So people go from short form content to medium form to long. The goal is with the short form attention to move them towards YouTube, because YouTube is where there'll be medium form content and long form content. And it's about consumption. So if somebody goes from short form, which when I go like this, it's like day trading attention. Like, who is this person? They'll end up on a medium form content, which is like a 2 to 8 minute video. And the goal is to get them to a long form content, which could be like a podcast or something like that. Because once they get there and they get to the long form, they're going to do business with you.
Yeah, I was going to actually add to that I think something I want to highlight to you guys is really the power of being able to make long form content and the benefits of it, right? Because like Aaron was talking about the short form, medium form, and long form, right? Like the benefit of, for example, if you guys sit down once a week and record one podcast episode and interviewing somebody else in the real estate industry, then you can grab that long form video that's like about an hour long, and you can really like find the 2 best clips that are like 5 to 10 minute clips or even less, and then turn those into medium form videos. So now you have like 2 medium form videos. And then from the whole hour long podcast, you can grab the 8 to 10 best golden nuggets, right? Like that are like 30, 45 seconds long, a minute long, and turn those into short form videos, right? So now from one video that might have taken you an hour to record, you just send that over to a team, for example, like us, and we turn that into one piece of content to like 20 pieces of content or 15 or whatever, right? So you have a lot more, and then you already, I think that's how Aaron was saying that you can be super efficient with the time that you need to invest in social media, right? So it doesn't seem like, wow, if I want to be posting 7, 10 times a week, I'm going to have to be a slave and work like 5, 10 hours a week on recording videos. No, you probably won't if you do this type of like strategy too, right? So I think that's one of the biggest benefits of that, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's wonderful because it's this idea of like, again, the way that this is usually presented to people is it's like either or. It's either you're going to prospect all the time or you're going to do like marketing. But the answer is both. The second thing I can do, what Esteban said with the medium form content. So if you shoot 2 videos a month that are between 2 to 5 minutes, or maybe 8 minutes, That could be a property tour. Again, not boring. You can take that video and probably get 5 to 10 shorts out of it, or a handful. Let's say 5 shorts. So now we're at 25. But you're also getting medium form content at the same time. And a 2 to 5 minute video, how long is that going to take you to do? Even if you want to redo it all the time, maybe an hour. So now we're up to like 3 or 4 hours. If you did 2 podcasts a month, each one of those podcasts, you can get 10 to 12 shorts from an hour, from a 30, 40 minute call, like, you know, with someone. So look, now we're posting twice a day on shorts, and we have 4 YouTube videos per month.
Sorry, Aaron, I was going to say that something I wanted to share with you guys too is that I would say one of the biggest keys that obviously we've identified that is honestly the name of the game, right? Of how to get people's attention, but not only get it initially, retain it, and then also make them become part of your sphere of influence now online. So in the social media space, it's simple, right? It's just one simple word that you guys probably have heard before, which is all about valuetainment, right? It's just about providing value. So that's one of the things that I do really want you guys to just engrave in your head, is that nowadays, that's the name of the game, just providing value, but doing it in an entertaining way, like Aaron said, because for somebody, it might like a video of a listing that is in their neighborhood, it might be valuable for them, but if they also don't get entertained while they're watching it, then, you know, they're not going to actually watch it all the way through. They might not even share it with other people. So the whole key is creating content that you believe will be shareable, right? Worthy of other people sharing it with other people. Because that's one of the things that the algorithms value the most. If they see a video that just got posted and people are already saving it, sharing it, commenting, all sorts of engagement, that's what they want to really promote the most, and keep on like promoting it to more and more and more accounts. Because the main goal of any of these platforms, right, is to keep their people, their users, the most amount of time possible on the platforms, right? So they see content that is being accepted by everybody really well, and they are enjoying it and watching it even all the way through on the video. That just means more time their users are going to be on their platform. So they want to promote that piece of content more and more and more. And that's how videos go essentially viral, right? So that's just something I want you guys to keep in mind, the whole valuetainment, right?
Yeah. So now what I can share with you from my own experience. So I've had a podcast for probably 2.5 years. I was 46 episodes deep and had 240 subscribers. This idea and build it and they will come, it is not true. Build it, get a team, edit, then they'll come. That is true. So within 5 months of partnering with EC Creative and the team, I have gone from 246 subscribers to over 900 in 5 months. There is only 8% of all YouTube channels ever get 1,000 subscribers. Only 8%, guys. So out of 50 million channels, like 8 million ever get more than 1,000 subscribers. Esteban, if you could drop in the chat, if people want to have a conversation with you, like about what it is that you do and like that sort of thing, drop in the chat like a Calendly link or something where they can connect with you and set an appointment.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I was going to say is that anybody also that is in the attendees area still, and they're not part of the panelists, you can either just type a question in the chat, and then maybe I can also just unmute you if you wanted to talk, because I think I've already sent the invite to everybody to become a panelist, but yeah, so just feel free. So yeah, let's open up that section right now. Anybody wants to kind of like do any type of like fast Q&A, and then I can also share a couple more things with you guys.
I noticed in like your page and like some other folks that they don't post their, solds, coming soons, just listed. Is that just like fillers for, I mean, what would you say? Like, just leave it content, leave it simple, short video, and like, you don't gotta.
Yeah. Why do you think people do that?
Because they don't want to post videos.
Because it's lazy.
Yeah. So
they don't want to. And what I'm aware of is like, Dunya, I want you to think about this. You're not posting anything valuable. They see that on all these platforms already.
Yeah, that's what I was assuming.
There's no value in it. Number 2 is it's got to be entertaining. Okay. That's the game.
So not just like a template, just listed this and that. So yeah. So just leave my page.
Bro, like they get that on Zillow. They get that on Redfin. Like it's just listed. Like what? How is that helpful to you? How is that any value add?
Yeah, because I was gonna say that people already see like that type of post, even because like you mentioned, there's tons, I think tons of agents out there that are still doing that just because, like Aaron said, it just I honestly think it's also laziness, right? That they just say, hey, I know I need something on my social media, so let's just kind of do the easiest thing and just put the pictures of my listings, and then people just see that every single day. So yeah, so I mean that's.
And to Esteban's point, what you'll see with people whose channels who do that, they have zero growth.
Yeah.
And you know what that is? That's the marketplace telling them what you're doing is not valuable. Let people see you in your property tours. Get all dressed up and jazzed up.
I know. I'm still like.
Why?
I'm
It's
shy.
funny. One of them, stop it. You are not shy. Go look at her page right now and look at the way, like how she's all dressed up. Like, ooh, look at me. Yeah, I'm so cute. Like, bro, you're not shy. Don't give me that shit. It's not true. One of the guys, he was on this call. Brian's here. Brian Murillo, he's a partner of mine at EXP. And he told me, he said the same shit to me. I'm like, Brian, you do posts in spandex working out. What do you mean you're shy? That's not true. You do let it out, but you only let it out in a certain context. When you're out with the girls, then you let it out.
Guys,
right?
I'd say just to quickly interrupt, I did drop the link right now on the chat, just so you guys can already have it. Maybe just copy it for now, paste it somewhere, have it saved. Please go over there. Like I said, if you guys do want to have like a one-on-one call with us, with the team, and really figure out what would be the best way we can help you guys out and provide value to you guys too, and how to make you guys grow on social media, get results, and start doing what basically Aaron already started doing a few months ago, and just start killing it on social media, right? But anyways, let's keep going with the Q&A. But yeah, I just want
any other questions, comments, concerns? That's a good question, Junior, because a lot of people, the story of one is the story of all. How about you, Miss Jimenez in the dark, like the Dark Knight?
I think for me, it's like, I'm kind of new to the market. So I'm new as a real estate agent. So it's kind of just learning all those things. And like, for me, I just want to post it on there, but I don't know. For me, it's like, I'm shy, but I'm not, because I tend to post a lot too, So I don't know. I think I really liked how you guys said that, like podcasting, like kind of starting from big and then going small. Cause I was working on really, really small ones. And then that was it. I was wasting my time, I should have just started from big.
There's no, so the way I want you to think about this is like, okay, so these platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all they are roads. Like imagine if you ever played the game Sims, it's like a road. You build a road. Okay. The purpose of the road is to have traffic. Because to build a road with no traffic is stupid. The also purpose of a road is that it has a destination. It goes somewhere. So I have to think to myself, who is my avatar? Who is the person that I'm interested in? Then I have to have the ecosystem of attention to lead them down the road to the destination. Does that make sense? So you're a perfect example. You're here day trading attention all the time, but you have it's like you're getting people on the road and like they fall off a cliff. They have no place to go with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Good. I'm seeing some hands raised. This is good. So Richie, what's up, Richie? Let's unmute Richie. Hannah, turn your camera on, bro, so I can see you.
It should be on. I don't know what's going on. My chat's disabled. I have.
Right, so
I was gonna say that I'm just allowing everybody that was still on the attendee side, like allowing them to talk, and now I'm gonna go back again to everybody just to make sure that I do again offer the opportunity to become a panelist, so then you can actually even turn on your camera if you want, but you can speak already right now.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. So my thing is, of course, the way you look and things of that nature. But the big thing is, like you said, how do we come up with entertaining, valuable content daily?
Yeah. So a couple things. One is you don't have to do it.
I don't know if they're going to call on me.
Whoever said that, I may call on you. Who knows? So, like, you don't have to do it daily. I think that's a mindset, and it causes people to get overwhelmed and shut down. Because remember, what we're talking about is you need like one short form a day, if you're serious, like, one short form a day, and then a couple long forms. Well, one short form a day is 7 pieces of content that are literally less than a minute. So one is you need to like eradicate that thinking in your brain. The second is having a team that can help you to generate those ideas is very helpful. Because I get when it's time for me to do my 2 hours of short form stuff, when I do that, I'm like, yo, Esteban, send me the sheet. He sends me the sheet. I look through the list and it's prompting, right? And I may not go exactly with what he said, but it just gives me it prompts. It's like a shortcut of me having to think about everything. And then the only other thing I would recommend, and then Esteban can give you his kind of 2 cents. You have to start consuming with the intention of creating.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to add to it, right? That one of the other keys, right, that we've identified, and we've been working with this for like a long time now, that we tell everybody, because obviously you're not the first one to tell us like, hey, yeah, so how do I keep the consistency going if I have to come up with ideas every single day, record videos every single day or whatever, right? So what we tell them is that, first of all, the key is that you don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? So you don't need to like think about all this crazy, innovative or whatever ideas. All you really need to do is look at what's working on your same market, on your industry, what other people are doing, what type of videos they have posted in the past week, 2, 3, 4 weeks that have done really well already for them. So you can even see that already. The proof is on the metrics, right? So if you see that their videos already got 1 million views or 500,000 or whatever amount of likes, then you already know that the audience is reacting well to that video and interested about it, right? So basically what we do, for example, with Aaron or any of our clients, to make it even as simple as possible, is that every single week we go and do that work ourselves, go on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, everywhere, and look at what are some of the trending topics and also examples even of specific videos that we found that other realtors or whatever, even in your same area, have done in the past few weeks that worked really well. And then we just put all those examples organized on a document and share that with you every single week. So then you have a whole new list of examples and video ideas to go with and record your videos, right? And the other thing I was going to say is that even more, just like a step further from that, what we want to do to really ensure the success of your video is that we're even like giving you recommendations and suggestions of what are like the best hooks you can use on that video, the best call to actions, etc. Just providing as much guidance as we can for you on that, on that document. So then it's just as easy as possible for you to just hit record, look at the idea, and then boom, just start talking and shooting, right?
I always like to bring people to the platform that I really believe can add value. And I think you definitely fit that criteria, because we were chatting prior to getting started. You've actually been exposed to real estate like your entire adult life. Really your whole life, right?
Since the time, my dad, when I was born, I'm not going to give my age away, but way back when, my dad was a real estate agent for almost 50 years. He started in 1953. My sister has her license in Pennsylvania. My wife has been an agent for 17 years. So I've been surrounded by real estate agents my whole life. I remember, Aaron, when I was a little kid, and this will predate probably a lot of listeners, but hopefully some will. I remember my dad bringing home the blue MLS book, right, with all the houses. And I was fascinated, just like paging through that and comparing, this house is $7,000 and this house is $10,000, right? Like, it's just, wow, I have very vivid memories of that from the time I was tiny. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Not only from kind of an inflation perspective, how the cost of houses have changed,
right,
but also from kind of an evolutionary perspective in terms of, the way real estate is done. So I think you not only have that unique perspective because of your exposure. The other thing that I believe causes you to have a unique perspective is that as host of the Walkthrough podcast, which you were kind enough to have me on, you get this, opportunity to essentially like mastermind with the top agents in the country who are producing, at the highest possible levels, the top 1%, 0.01% of agents. And as such, I think you can kind of glean some best practices and things of that nature. So one of the questions that I wanted to begin with and get this started off with is kind of trends. I'm aware that our game has been rapidly changing for the last at least 3 years, as we have, some sharp elbow competitors that are pushing into the space and, just with technology and things of that nature. So as you're interviewing agents, what are some of the major trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, I think right now, obviously the the trends that are affecting everyone right now are just what's been going on in the past year in the industry with the pandemic. And, obviously there was that time of what's going to happen with real estate. And now we have record low inventory, right? The bidding wars. The thing that I am noticing, Aaron, and I wonder if your experience with your clients is the same, but I feel like a lot more of your job these days is maybe coaching clients through like the emotional highs and lows, through some of the struggles of this market. Like it used to be, the struggles would be, are we going to find a house? Do we have our financing in order? Now there's so much pressure on this market, just to the speed that the market is moving, dealing with the frustration of bidding wars and all that sort of stuff. I just feel like there's like this mental aspect of working with your clients that is maybe more important now than it's ever been. Would you agree?
Yeah. So I think that there's two, in my experience, parts of the process. One is the practical component, which is the dollars and cents, the numbers, kind of mortgage rates, net sheets for sellers, things of that nature. The second is the emotional component. And what I've been sharing with people is that, every market has its own challenges. So when I was selling real estate in 08 and 09 and 10, like nothing was selling. We had 250 expireds a day, which is a lot. I couldn't even call them all. And you had to get 10 price reductions a month just to move inventory, lots of foreclosures, lots of short sales. So that had its own set of challenges, right? At the same time, it had some bright spots, which is that for somebody who knows how to sell, that becomes a very productive environment because there's lots of people who need your help. And when times get tough, only the skilled get paid, right? So you can go in and kind of build market share. And this marketplace is the opposite of that coin, which is exceptionally low inventory. It is, as you mentioned, kind of bidding wars, things of that nature. You have to deal with greed because that's a normal human thing,
absolutely.
Right? That sellers go through, where they get a full price offer and they're like, well, Matt, I think I want to wait and see if we get something better.
Right. Yeah, I could get more a month from now or 2 months from now, right?
Yeah. So, and, I think that people's motivation has to be greater than their discomfort or their, kind of inconvenience. So by that, what I mean is from a buyer's perspective, like their motivation, whatever it is, some life event, right? That's happening in their life, death, divorce, job relocation, moving to assisted living, retiring, wants to be closer to family, like whatever. There has to be a compelling reason for them to be willing to put up with the inconvenience or the stress that's involved in the marketplace. And I think culturally as Americans, like, I don't know, we're just used to everything being kind of comfort and convenient. And if there's mild inconvenience, it's like, this is like ridiculous, right?
Right.
So you just have to coach people through that process.
Yeah. And what I totally agree with what you just said is, especially where you said the skilled are the ones that are getting paid. I think that's especially the case right now because because there's so many scary headlines right now, right? I went on Google News, I don't know, probably a month or so ago and just typed in real estate because I just wanted to see what the headlines were around the country and like local newspapers, local TV, right? Like market is on fire, toughest market ever to buy a house, 70 bidding, 70 offers on individual house. And I fear that there is this thing going on where people that might be buyers or sellers are like, I just don't even want to get involved in this kind of thing. And so when you are working with your clients, it's more important than ever, I think, for you to be the expert, the knowledge broker here, right? To know the market, know the town, and be able to sort of provide all the education and information that you would normally provide, all the skills that you have in order to navigate the process, but then also that added skill in, the communication skills, being able to deal with, as you said, the stress. And so I think if I were a buyer or a seller right now, I'd be nervous to like just go online and search for a realtor and pick the first one I find. I'm going to be looking for the ones that have been around 10, 15, 20 years that I know have a track record, that are skilled and really have their stuff together. I think there's a real premium on that in this market.
Yeah. So what comes up for me is, as you say that, is as information becomes free, specialized knowledge becomes more valuable. So we're flooded with information, right? And consumers now have lots of information at their fingertips. But the question is how do you interpret that data? Yeah. Right. And the other thing I hear you saying is moving from just being transactionary, like I'll help you buy and sell, we'll fill out paperwork, to being fiduciary, which is where I'm actually guiding you. Right. And in order to do that, not only do I have to have the intellectual intelligence of like understanding the market, but also the emotional intelligence to help them to guide that process. But then I would also propose like being able to have conversations with regards to finance, right? Because that's, what we're doing is advising. So that makes total sense to me. And I guess my question is, how are you seeing that agents are integrating technology? Because, I know that the game is changing, and you mentioned people going online and making decisions. And I know probably about 60% of our business now is where people find me, and the importance of like those digital assets and all the reviews and stuff, and utilizing BombBomb and videos. So how are you seeing that agents are coping, or really not coping, but like evolving and utilizing technology to deal with the changes in the marketplace?
Yeah, I think, I do think, I don't think that is going to change at all anytime soon, with the, going online to research real estate agents. Excuse me. When I think of real estate technology, like I think over the years, there's been this focus on sort of, I don't even know what the term is, but I'll call it internal technology. CRMs, your social media management platform, what are you doing to post to Facebook and Instagram and all that sort of stuff. What interests me right now, and what I want to see more of technology-wise, is tools that actually improve the client experience and give them more, as you were saying, more of the knowledge to be a smarter client for you. So like, from talking to agents just over the last, 4 or 5, 6 months, I've heard a lot of interest in things like listing management tools. So something that will let you show your seller, you're getting 10, 20 offers on a listing, right? Some kind of tool that lets you show that seller all those offers side by side in sort of an easy to compare, elegant way, as opposed to just like, here's a spreadsheet, it's really homespun, or here's a bunch of printouts of PDFs. I think that kind of technology is really good for the client. And so I want to see more of that. I think also just in the last couple months, I've had a number of agents talk to me just like raving about a tool that I was vaguely familiar with called HomeBot. And I've never used it, but it sends out like a monthly financial snapshot to your clients, right? I think it has an estimate on your home's value, some other financial info, like what happens if you were to refinance right now based on current mortgage rates. It's just like this newsletter with all kinds of home and finance information. I've had, like I said, a couple agents just really raving about that and how it helps them get that information into their client's hand, and again, make them a smarter buyer or seller. So that's a tech trend that I like seeing, is using the technology that we have available to us to improve the customer and the client experience. And I hope we see a lot more of that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think that's very insightful, right? As far as like technology, not only as a mechanism to make yourself more productive, which has to do with you, but technology as a mechanism to improve and really the delivery of the service, right? So what I heard you say there, which is interesting, is tech serving in different kind of drivers in the business. So let's say an attraction, right? Attracting clients, whether that's from within your database or outside of your database. In your database would be, in your database, 36 touch program. HomeBot would be part of that, where they're getting that consistently on a regular basis. And that's a piece of software that allows you to serve at a higher level, right? And also gets them to view you as the source of information instead of all these other platforms, right? Then you mentioned using software as a way to deliver as far as the service that I'm delivering, right? Like that listing management, right? So instead of just like a Excel spreadsheet or I call you, there's some cool tool that you can use where you can see what's happening in real time. And I do believe that technology is definitely changing people's expectations. So talk to me a little bit about, that and how you feel, because you've watched real estate go from, you mentioned your dad with like a book, right? So like now expectations and how tech is changing people's expectations.
Yeah, I think I had a guest on the walkthrough. This was within the last 3 or 4 months, and I feel bad that I can't remember exactly who said this, but it's like Amazon has kind of trained us to expect things instantly, right? I remember probably, a month ago, I placed an order on Amazon for some, little $15 home item. I don't even remember what it was, Aaron. It was like so trivial and unimportant. It was like Saturday night at 11 o'clock. I placed this order on Amazon, and the darn thing showed up at my door Monday morning at 10 a.m., right? Like 36 hours later. Instant gratification. And I think that is sort of what we are starting to become conditioned to, expecting to get what we want when we want it and at great rapid pace. And so I think that does sort of change the dynamic a bit in real estate, that you need to be able to be available, answer the questions, show your value on a moment's notice. And not that I'd ever suggest that you work round the clock, but your clients are going to be operating round the clock.
Well,
right.
What's interesting, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Like what you just said there is like, so, cause you caught your, you were like noticing, you're like, well, I wouldn't suggest you work around the clock, but what I wrote down as you were saying that is friction. Because what's happening, it's kind of happening where like, because people's expectations are, it's gotta be like right now. And if we're not careful, the way that our game is set up, like we are the system. And that means I got to be available whenever that lead comes in. And I got to call it within 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And friction, that's such a great word, right? Friction, because whether you're in real estate or shopping for trivial products on a Saturday night, we are all conditioned to avoid friction. Like if I am ready to make an appointment with a real estate agent and I call and you're not there, there's another one right below you listed right there on Google, and they're just going to call the next one, right? Unless you've built that relationship with them already, which I think it is another trend that we could talk about. I think what's happened in the last couple of years is made it more important than ever that you continue to show how important you are to your clients and continue to reach out to your database and, nail your follow-up, your outreach, staying top of mind. I think that's more important than ever now.
Yeah. And when you said that about like, unless they're a past client, like that might buy you like 24 to 36 hours. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to buy you a whole bunch of time. It might buy you a little time. Yeah. And that's interesting because there is that friction. And the reason why I think software is eating the world or technology is like pushing in all these spaces is because part of the reason it's difficult to compete with is because it's frictionless.
Yeah.
Its whole goal is to eliminate friction. Right? Yeah,
absolutely.
So that's pretty interesting. And then you mentioned like, as far as like another trend that you're seeing, because in a way, these third-party vendors are kind of impartial, right? Like they want to connect top producing agents with consumers, but they also give the lead out to 4 people or 3 people or whatever it is, right? So then it comes down to conversion.
Now, back then, I didn't actually realize that HomeBot was a thing that was thriving in U.S.
In the United States, the data and the availability of the data is basically like limitless. Like there's no real restrictions on it. We're kind of like the Wild West, where we're basically we're actually paying somebody to have access to our database, and then they charge somebody else to have access to the database. Welcome back, Novello Nation, to another episode of the Aaron Novello podcast. We have with us a real estate technology expert, Andrei Novikov. He is a real estate entrepreneur who specializes in creating technologies and solutions for agents in the real estate space. And he is out of Canada. So really appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today.
Thanks so much, Aaron. Pleasure to be here.
100%. So as an active practitioner of real estate and coaching lots of agents throughout the country, we're always, as agents, trying to think about ways that we can stay in proximity and in front of potential or past clients. And I know that now, because of technology and that it's framed and changed our thinking and changed our behaviors, that before people even do business, they're hanging out online. And usually they're bumping into, these other companies, particularly in the States anyway, that are trying to offer their own products and services. And you noticed, something, because I'm aware here in the States, a service that is used by a lot of agents is called HomeBot. And you noticed that, hey, this is not being offered in Canada, and you chose to do something about it. So walk us through that evolution for you. Like, okay, when did that come into your awareness, and why do you think it was so important to start to provide this to agents in Canada? Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I'll go right to the beginning. So I've been licensed for about 14 years now, but right out of the gates, I ended up, as I got my real estate license, I actually fell into a full-time job in finance. I spent 10 years doing finance while keeping my real estate license active. And during that time, I was doing a lot of modeling. I was doing a lot of kind of valuations. I actually linked up with one of my mentors in real estate, Ron James, that actually runs Kathleen Black Coaching now. He's one of the coaches there. And he kept asking me to do these valuations for homes that he was selling at the time, that his clients were buying. And we're working on this model to try and figure out, okay, can we come up with, something quick that we can, bring on to a listing presentation that we can take to negotiations and say, hey, you know what, maybe the price is a little too high, and kind of use that more strategically. And as that kind of started to evolve, we started to figure out that this could be used in many different other ways. And one of them is, keeping in touch with past clients. Now, back then, I didn't actually realize that HomeBot was a thing that was thriving in US. I just thought that we created something that was really interesting for Canadian clients. And that's how we kind of, approached it. The big difference between US and Canada is in Canada, the data is not available. So it's we can't publicly publish like any of the sale data. We can't have title information available. So a lot of the things that are available in US and that a lot of valuation models in US are using is just not accessible in Canada. So that creates problems with running some AI algorithms or whatnot. So because we kind of started from scratch and we started from using our own kind of tools and values, we started to rely on a different source. We use CREA HPI, so Home Price Index. There are indices in US as well, but obviously because you have better data, you don't need to rely on those indices. But in Canada, that's what we use to come up with our evaluations.
Yeah, I love that. So in other words, it stemmed from kind of you doing all of these valuations for your mentor and saying like, hey, there's got to be a better way to do this. And then you did it and you thought it was like, hey, man, this is a novel idea. We're the only ones doing this. And then you recognized that there was another company who was doing it as well. Now, I think the nuance that you just described, I want to make sure that the audience caught it. As agents is very important. So in the United States, the data and the availability of the data and the ability to resell that data is basically like limitless. Like there's no real restrictions on it. We're kind of like the Wild West. Whereas in Canada, it's exceptionally restrictive. So you have to go about it in another way. And I think that, when we were speaking off camera, that's a really critical distinction because that's one of the main differences between you and a company like HomeBot. So talk about the different models and why it's important for agents to understand the difference between those models, because I'm aware one can offer kind of a lower price solution because really there's something else going on that agents may not be aware of. And then the second option, it might be a little bit more expensive, but there's a very distinct kind of competitive advantage for going that direction.
Right. So the way, and I got to be very careful about, the way I put this here. So again, I don't have access to HomeBot, but from what I've been told by other agents is when you sign on to HomeBot, you're generally paired up with a mortgage broker or some sort of a lender that will then essentially sponsor you to be part of HomeBot, and they will also be essentially advertised on the reports that will be sent out to your clients. So when a client requests information about anything that has to do with the mortgage, it will be also available for that mortgage broker to look at. In Canada, obviously, we come from a very kind of protective data structure where that model would never be allowed unless you sign off very explicitly in terms of what can be shared and what can't be shared. And we're coming from that protective environment. So our reports are specifically designed to only advertise the real estate agent and help them essentially remind the clients or remind their either past clients or new leads that, hey, there are actually the expert real estate agent in their particular property. It's not co-branded with anyone else. It's not sponsored by anyone else. The real estate agent is the one focal point of that report.
That makes sense. So again, just to kind of summarize as a key distinction is that, there's models out there where essentially what agents are doing is giving this company access to their database. And when you give them access to your database, they can basically market to it whatever they want. And, they are choosing to market, and the way that they can offer you a lower price solution is that they charge somebody else money, which in this instance would be the mortgage broker, to have access to that database. And if any of the leads come from it, great. At the same time, there's nothing to stop them from marketing other products and services to that database. Whereas your guys' solution, being that you come from an environment that's much more restrictive, that's kind of the philosophy you take. So that's not happening. And instead, what you guys are providing to an agent's database is just, a particular kind of set of information as far as valuation tools and things of that nature in terms of their property. And then all the leads then go directly to you as the agent and can even be redirected to like your website. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's another crucial distinction between our competitors and our solution is that the actual reports, one, they are sent out directly from the agent's email. So it's not a third party that's sending it out. So it's coming directly from you. So the client actually knows, hey, I've communicated with this person. They're actually creating this report for me. It's not some third party system. And two, the actual report can be embedded into the agent's website. So when the client opens it, it's not a third-party website that opens and has that all information. It's agent's website with their logos, their photos, their testimonials, and that has a really interesting effect because now you're sending all these leads onto your website. Google starts to see all that traffic flowing onto your website and thinking, hey, you must have really good content. It starts bumping you up in the search results. Boom, you get more traffic to your website just by essentially, setting up this report on the website and sending it to your past clients or new leads that have properties.
Yeah, so that's also very interesting in that, some people might get excited about, it doesn't cost that much money. At the same time, if you really think through like second and third level consequences, is like if it's coming from an email address or coming from kind of a vendor that's not me, that's something to think about, right? From the long-term perspective. And then this other idea that if you were to push traffic to your website that's, coming from these emails that are being sent out with these valuation tools, organically, you would end up with more traffic to your website, which ultimately would help you from a business perspective as well. So talk a little bit about like the information that's being provided, right, to the clients specifically. So if agents were to sign up for your guys' service, what can they expect that their clients are going to be receiving? How often does it go out? Does it integrate with other CRMs? Because I'm aware that, a lot of programs do not, which makes it very cumbersome and clunky.
So we, at least at the stage we're at right now, we made a decision to make the report super simple. And there's a reason for that. We want to make sure that the client focus doesn't drift away from two things. One, the property valuation, because everyone wants to know how much money they have in their home. And two, that the agent is the expert in their property. Those are the two things that we want to highlight on every single report without them having, deviating from that.
If the machine can do what you do, you will be replaced. The reason, because the machine never gets sick. Your competition is no longer the solo agent. Your competition is either multi-billion dollars technology company or a mega team that has $1 million in advertising budget.
I would use some more colorful language. It's like hortish. Like, I don't care how much rah-rah you get. I don't care how many motivation tapes you watch. I don't care what you do to try to rev yourself up or affirmations. Like you're not going to be able to compete with that. You're just not.
How long can you run like that before you're going to get a heart attack?
Welcome back, Novello Nation, to another episode of the Aaron Novello podcast. We have with us the real estate millionaire maker, right? Somebody who's done 400 units in the last 12 months on his team, over 1,000 units in his brokerage, which he owns. And that's been over $1 billion in production, the one and only, with the fantastic energy, Mr. Rudy Cosimo. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with me here today.
Pleasure to be here, Aaron. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. And, it's interesting because my team, they saw you on another podcast and they really loved your energy and kind of the way that you think, which is really outside of the box for most agents. So what's interesting is prior to kind of jumping on off camera, you said to me that, which I find so fascinating, is that all of that production that we just talked about, you shared with me, there's no outbound prospecting, no cold calling. And it was something that you call like reverse prospecting, where you get, the clients, whether it's buyers or sellers, to reach out to you. So I think what you have a gift for and what your superpower is thinking outside the box and specifically marketing. So I'm really interested in kind of delving in there and, providing for the community some information that could be helpful or useful to them in some way. So I guess, if you could, for a moment, briefly kind of share with us how you got into real estate and what that journey was like for you prior to, turning into the $1 billion producer that you are.
Well, I was just like anybody, right? Couldn't get a job. So, actually, I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was in college. I was supposed to teach graduate school. My major was mathematics. University of Wisconsin. I'm supposed to teach graduate school here in LA. My dream job was to work in NASA. But then I came across this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in the book, Robert Kiyosaki said the number one skill in life, it's sales, right? How to influence, persuade people. So I was like, wow, nobody in my family. In my family, we never talk about business. We never talk about money. We never talk about sales, right? Those are all taboo. So when I read that book, I dropped out of school. I dropped out of my graduate school and basically get in sales. I was selling door to door, and one of my clients is a real estate brokerage. And he is the one that basically convinced me to get into real estate. Took him about 2 years. Finally got my real estate license in 2007. But the first time I got my license, Aaron, I realized that I just got married, get a brand new baby. I realized everything is on me. I have to do everything all by myself. So when I was in the hospital trying to be with my wife, right? My first baby born, I couldn't even be with them because I have to serve I remember the clients calling me just trying to open a Supra lockbox because the agents don't know how to open the lockbox, right? And the business stops. Like, I'm not against cold calling, prospecting, door knocking. The challenge is that when you stop, when you get sick, or when you are in hospital, like me, just trying to be with my baby, then the whole operation shut down, right? Because the business is me. And so that's kind of like how I get started on how can we create a system so the business runs without your constant involvement.
Yeah, and I love
I'm just trying to be with my wife.
Yeah, and what I think is very interesting about that is, I shared with you that I think your superpower is like thinking outside of the box and kind of questioning things. And right from the jump, I mean, you were in graduate school studying to be some sort of, I imagine, engineer, and you had a dream job to be at NASA. So you had a lot of probably cultural pressure, familial pressure, to do that. And when you read that book, it struck you, and instantaneously you were like, okay, I gotta do something different. And I know that takes a tremendous amount of courage. So then you got into real estate, and you noticed very quickly that, like, wow, I'm selling time for money. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that I don't have some time freedom, and I'd like to be able to spend time with family and things of that nature. So how did that lead to you start to kind of question or analyze like the training or the systems that usually are kind of, taught to agents, and cause you to say, like, you know what, like, I think that there's a different way to do this?
Yeah, so I did everything what my broker asked me to do, right? So they asked me to all this door knocking thousands of homes. So I did all that. And then I was looking for a different way. I came across the number one RE/MAX agent back then in the world, Craig Proctor. So my logic is this. Find somebody. I think Tony Robbins says it's called modeling, right? Modeling means find somebody who have done it and just model their behavior. If you take the actions, then you're going to get the results. Today is 2022. Whatever you want in life, somebody else have done it. Like there is no need to reinvent the wheels. So back then I was like, okay, who has successfully sell homes and still like have a normal life? So I just so that's when I hooked up with the number one agents in RE/MAX, because when I first get my license, that's when I was with Coldwell Banker, I was with RE/MAX. Find who's the best, and I just mimic their behavior. So that's how I get started in this building the team system.
That's interesting. So, you really understood that idea of modeling. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's some really smart people out there who are already producing what you want. I just need to find what they're doing and basically do what I call R&D, which is rip off and duplicate. I just need to copy what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I'm wondering though, like this idea of like, as you started to do that, and I know for a lot of agents, some hesitation in doing that is that usually it requires expenditure of capital. You usually have to hire people. And what I see is that, 65% of us, in America anyway, they live paycheck to paycheck. So because of that, it affects thinking, and they think they have to do everything themselves. And I'm aware that it requires out of the box thinking to be like, okay, well, if I spend some money here and if I hire some people here, that'll create more time. So for you, was there any friction there where once you realized, like when you started to model people, you're like, wow, okay, they're spending money in advertising and spending money in marketing and maybe have hired some people. Was there hesitation to do that, or zero hesitation where you're like, yep, that's what they're doing, I'm going to do it?
Yeah, I mean, well, I had no money. So I remember before I get into real estate, when I say sales, to be more transparent with you, I was selling stuff in a swap meet. I'm making my profit was $50 a week, right? But when I make that profit, $50 a week, I'm just selling like knickknacks, so I'm making about $200 in profit a month. But what I do with that money, I invest in my personal education. Like, for example, I use the money to buy Zig Ziglar CDs, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, all those guys. This is maybe old time, but my point is you invest in yourself. So when I first get started, Aaron, I had no money, but the lack of money, I mean, more money is not going to solve your money problem. So more money is not going to solve your money problem. Let me make you a case point. Let's say you come across somebody who's struggling, lack of money, and suddenly I give you $1 million cash. Trust me, the reason they have no money, there's a problem. So if you put more money into that problem or into that business, then you just magnify the problems. So when I first get started, the concept of reverse prospecting, essentially what I did is this. Literally what I did, I'm hosting a cash flow games. So I have people come into my office. Remember, I have no customers, I have nothing, right? I just have a desire and the understanding of, instead of me chasing the customers, have the customers come to me. So I'm hosting a cash flow games. Essentially, it's just a board game, like Monopoly game, right? So people come, 20 people a week. So I do that 3 times a week, right? So Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday. So every week I have 60 people come to my office playing the cash flow game. At the end of the cash flow games, I ask a simple question. Hey, how many of you guys want to do this in real life? So usually out of every week, I pick up about 2-3 brand new clients. So if you do the math, in a very short period of time, I have an overflow of clients. I have more clients than I can serve. But remember, Aaron, this is back in 2007. I get my license. 2008, the whole economy crashed.
If you really knew me, like really, really knew me, you would know in my first calendar year of selling real estate, I made a whopping $13,000.